Hi everybody, this is Josh Culp. We are learning Daf Shvui. We are on Masechet Gittin, Tractate Gittin Daf Zayin, page 7. And there's a little piece here that has nothing to do with Gittin, so I thought I would talk about that. Maybe people are getting a little tired of the famous declaration made by the agent. Enlich talks about the agents and his declaration. And there's some questions that come up to Mar Ukba, because we get this list of things that are sent to other people as questions. They sent to Mar Ukba and ask him the following question. Zimra Manalan de Isur. How do we know that it's forbidden to play music? Mar Ukba responds properly, and he first scores the paper or the parchment, whatever he's using. Sirtet v'katavlehu, he writes them. Al tismach Yisrael el gil ba'amim. Do not rejoice, Israel, when you are scattered among the people. And they answer that this is true. They give another pasuk and say that if we only had one pasuk, we would have learned that it was only prohibited with a vessel, with an instrument. And the extra pasuk teaches us that it is prohibited even or just to sing. Now, of course, I assume that many of you, probably most of you, maybe all of you who are listening to this are Jews, and you've heard Jews sing, and you've heard Jews celebrate and play instruments, both Israel, America, Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox, Reform, Conservative, doesn't matter what part of Judaism you're involved with. I have always, at least for a very, very long time, music has been an important part of our lives, and indeed Jews have contributed to musical tradition throughout the ages, and it has brought a lot of joy to people's lives. I remember my grandmother, who was an Orthodox Jew, her favorite musician was Yitzhak Perlman. I mean, I think she was really in love with Yitzhak Perlman, and would go to hear him play whenever she had the opportunity, and took me to many shows on Broadway or on the opera or ballet whenever she had the opportunity. May her memory be for a blessing. So just I don't really think this is the place for a halachic history of this prohibition. By the time of the Middle Ages, it was already abundantly clear to people that playing music as part of religious ceremonies, including weddings and other such celebrated celebrations, was permitted. And the prohibition sort of starts to seem to fade and to become synonymous with a prohibition of like getting overly drunk and partying too much, getting drunk in a Beit HaMishta, in some kind of bar or something like that. So I'm not going to talk about alcohol right now, but I will say that this prohibition, like many of the other prohibitions that come in the wake of the destruction of the temple, sort of start to fade after a while, and we're left with the ones that I think are limited in time. Tisha B'Av, at a wedding, we break the glass. A few points here or there, other fasts, other practices, a few points here that are limited in time and scope to remember the destruction of the temple. And over the course of the centuries, the other types of prohibitions, which would have severely curtailed the happiness, the entire overall happiness of a person's life. I mean, imagine your life without music. And it's not just now, but even throughout the ages. People's lives without music are deprived lives, right? Human beings have an attraction and a need for music, and I think it's universal. And to not listen to music because of the destruction of the temple seems to be something that the Jewish people just could not have lived like for many years, for so long. And indeed, for the most part, this prohibition has been abandoned. There are certain more religious circles where the singing is given, let's say, a religious motivation, but I would say that the singing is also there for pleasure. I think that's quite apparent if you go to a concert with very religious Jews. The show is there for people's enjoyment, even though it's also part of their thanking God for life.